fitness, adventure and travel, fashion, beauty, entertainment, and more. Welcome to the Aidan Mack Show.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Aidan Mack Show. I wanted to talk to you guys about something before I dive into today's show. I want to let everyone know, sometimes the topics I discuss may seem to be old news. Well, sometimes it does require additional time. Once I finish filming my show, I hand it over to my interpreters, and then the interpreters have to schedule a time to meet, and keep in mind, they both have full-time jobs. They come together and do the voiceover interpretation for my show, and they also do the captions and visual descriptions and transcripts for accessibility purposes. The way I look at it is news is never old. I'm always adding my perspective based on the information I've gathered through my research. Sometimes we think of news as old and have already formed an opinion about it. Later, we see another person's perspective on that story, and sometimes it changes our initial opinion. Maybe you'll think differently about hearing mine too. Who knows? So I wanted to explain this to you all so you can get a better understanding of the additional time that is required for each episode. If I was able to get some sponsorship, I'd be able to invest in my interpreters full time and then my episodes would be more current. But right now their interpreting services is on a pro bono basis. My show is still just building, which takes some time to get the right sponsorship to invest in, and my show and filming and releasing to get caught up to current events. Thank you all for your patience. I appreciate all the support.
Now let's get down to business about today's topic. I think it's important to raise awareness about dogs. I'm sure many of us love dogs. We are dog lovers. I just learned about a situation that occurred on April 22nd, 2017, so about less than a year ago. Do you all know reality star Kim Zolciak-Biermann from The Real Housewives of Atlanta? She left the show to do her own show, Don't Be Tardy, but now she's back as a house guest wife. I love Kim. I follow her and I really appreciate her as a person. When Kim became a guest housewife, I was shocked. Attacking the women on the show and making accusation after accusation. I already judged her immediately, but I'm really surprised by her behavior lately. She's usually sweet, but if you try to mess with her, she'll bite back. Which is expected. But lately, there's something up with the housewives and all these accusations. For instance, Kim accused Candy of drugging her drink to get her into the swing of things. Kim then accused Nene Leakes of being a drug addict, so I was like, what's going on with Kim? I'm not really understanding this. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I still love her and still follow her. I love how she runs her family so humorously. I think her and her husband are such a cute couple. I think Kim's an excellent mom. She's really involved and engaged with her kids, and being real, encouraging that life has purpose. I'm impressed with her and her family dynamics. Anyway, let's get serious.
So this is Kim's dog, Sin. One of her son's favorite dogs. He's a husky boxer mix. And something happened to her son, Cash, who is 5 years old. Sin, for whatever reason, was panicking. Cash went to Sin's cage to play, and all of a sudden, Sin went for Cash and bit him. Roy, Kim's husband, was upset and ran, grabbed Cash, got into the car, and headed for the hospital. Sin barely missed Cash's eye, about less than 1 millimeter. If he would have gotten just a little bit closer, Cash would have lost his eyeball and became blind. Fortunately, the dog just missed the eye. So, I learned something from watching this and found out what exactly happened. Kim's husband Roy, who's an NFL player who also used to play for the Atlanta Falcons and now is a free agent. Anyway, this made him furious, and he didn't want anything to do with the dog Sin. Not one thing at all. Sin and Roy were very close, but after what happened to his son, that relationship was over.
Dog trainers and behavior experts explain that we have to understand that this was not an attack. It's not like Sin latched onto Cash and ripped him to shreds. Nope, that was not the case. He lunged at him to communicate. Roy wanted to destroy that dog and put him to sleep and put this whole story to rest. Kim reminded Roy that he needs to think about Cash, and whether or not Cash wants to put the dog down too, or wait to see how things progress. Roy refused. He had his mind set. But Roy noticed that Cash was still keen with dogs, and went ahead and got a puppy. Cash still goes to Sin and still kisses him, as you see in this picture. They still love each other, Roy realized. After talking with his son's psychologist and survivors of dog attacks, Roy decided the best thing to do was to keep Sin.
So the family did a lot of investigating and trying to figure out what caused Sin to bite Cash. Then they finally realized what happened. Roy was using a leaf blower, which was really loud. You know, dogs have sensitive hearing and ears, so Sin ran to hide out in his cage, but his cage is in high traffic of noise and it made him anxious and nervous. In the midst of it all, Cash went into his cage to play, and that's when he bit him to communicate he didn't want to play. So this was clearly not an attack. He just bit him hard as a way of communicating the stress. So Roy and Kim realized this and made sure that the cage he is in a safe area, so if Sin needs to go away to calm down without any high traffic and noise distractions, he can, and he can escape it all and relax.
I'm so happy with how the story ended, and to raise awareness instead of making rash decisions to put the dog to sleep for being a supposedly bad and awful dog. We need to analyze the situation thoroughly and understand where the dog was coming from. We need to give our dogs a better place and environment.
I like Kim's way of handling this situation. I'm grateful that Kim stepped in to calm the situation down. She made sure all the information from dog trainers, behavior experts, and the child psychologist to figure out what was actually going on before making the right decision. It seems that no negative impacts were made on Cash. He has been going about his day and back to normal. He's not living in fear or developed any phobias, which is great news. I like how the story ended and hope this brings awareness instead of assigning the blame to the animal. We need to give more time in figuring out where our dogs are coming from, which is tough when our dogs can't communicate with us in the way we want. Thank you for tuning into my show, and again, thank you Casey and Dominic for interpreting my show. Thanks, guys. And don't forget to follow, share, like, and subscribe to the Aidan Mack Show. See ya!